Welcome to the Epic Success Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Shannon Irvine. Now, I've got a little shorty podcast for you this week. We're going to talk about the 3 key levers you must pull in order to have a 7-figure mindset, in order to up-level your thinking. And last week, we talked about kind of the 10 questions to ask yourself to know if it's time to up-level. But I wanted to continue on and talk about the 3 key levers that when you go to up-level your mindset, that you must pull in order for your mindset to up-level. So let's dive right in. I'm going to keep this really short and tight. A lot of you have been with me in the Unleashed Entrepreneur Bootcamp, and you've been having these massive transformations and up-leveling your mindset from a brain-based perspective so that your brain stops working against you, so that you can ditch those old limiting stories for good and automate the ones that will help you get to where you want to go. If you haven't been in the boot camp, then hit me up and I'll get you the replays. Let me know, because I want to make sure that you get to see the replays. But the 3 levers that we talked about in the Unleashed Entrepreneur Bootcamp were all around brain-based transformation for that mindset. And so first key is, the first lever is you got to clarify. We've got to know what is in your subconscious running 90% of your decisions, actions, and results. So a story is when I was trying to get my business past a certain monetary place. I don't know if you've ever felt this way. Like you get a decent lift, but then it feels like you kind of slide backwards and you start over a whole lot. I was in that treadmill. I call that the entrepreneur treadmill. And what I didn't realize was that there was a conflict of an automation that was running in my subconscious about service. So I'm driven by serving others. And part of my faith is to be Christ-like in sense and serve others. And so I started having this belief that me selling, this was about 12 years ago, me selling was taking from someone instead of giving. Now, I couldn't have figured that out necessarily, but all I know is when I would go to sell, I would start to just deliver more. I would give more. And I kept delaying asking someone for them to say yes to themselves. Because why? Because in this automated part of my brain, I believed that I hadn't quite connected the serving and selling. You hear those great Instagram quotes, but if it's not automated in your brain, you're literally 90% of the time working against what is hardwired. And we know from neuroscience that our brain dominates, our subconscious mind dominates our decisions. 90% of the time, it comes from that automated place, our actions and our results. So lever number 1 is clarify. We've got to understand what we believe about money, what we think about potential, enoughness, identity, ability, just all around going through and getting really clear on what it is you really believe, not what you put out to the world, but what you are saying to yourself when the camera's on, when you're not live, right? So that's number 1, clarify. Now, all of this is in the replay, so we'll put that link below. And of course, the doors to the 67-day Year Accelerator Program, where we teach you how to do this and coach you for, we say 67 days, but we coach you for 12 weeks around literally up-leveling this mindset. The doors are open right now, and there is no more important thing to do than flipping your brain success switch on so that all of the strategy starts to work. But I digress. So clarify is the first lever. Second lever is the erase lever. We have to, once we clarify, we have to erase any story, any automation that doesn't align with where we want to go. Because what it is I want you to imagine like being in a golf cart. You know, that they have those governors on the golf carts and they drive so much slower because they're literally, the car will not allow you to drive over, I think it's 12 miles per hour. And the reason for that, there's a governor on that. Well, your subconscious mind works the same way. So we have to erase those things. We can't outperform them. We can't out hustle them. We can't out strategy them. We actually have to erase them. And the good news is the process in the brain to do that is super simple, but most people don't slow down long enough to speed up. Most people try to hustle their way to an entrepreneur 7-figure mindset when literally the mindset that they have is pumping the brakes constantly. So lever 1, we got to clarify what is in there. And so we know what we're working with. Lever 2, we got to erase what doesn't work for us. And then lever 3, we got to automate. We have to train our brain to see what we want as safe and familiar with such repetition that your brain sees it as if it's already happened. This is the power of brain-based brain priming, and it's something we talked about in the Unleashed Entrepreneur Bootcamp. So you probably know all about it, but if you don't, then make sure you watch the replays. And in reality, if you listen to last week's podcast and you know that your brain is stopping you, and this is the year you really want to make it happen, then there's no more important thing to do than to up-level your entrepreneur mindset, because you're not going to be able to outperform it. You cannot hustle your subconscious. The process is simple. And that's why we created the 67-day year, to be able to walk alongside you and take you through the very steps to clarify, to erase, and to automate, so that your brain, your mind becomes a powerful magnet to manifest the vision that you have into real life. So this is a quick shorty episode, but I wanted to bring these 3 levers to you. So it's kind of like an answer to what do we do with the 10 questions once we realize we really do need to up-level our mindset. Well, we know now you got to clarify, erase, and automate so that you can build a permanent brain-based up-leveled mindset. And of course, we would love for you to join us inside our program. The doors are open right now. Just go to 67dayyear.com, and I cannot wait to see you inside. Okay, we will be back next week on the Epic Success Podcast with my dear friend, Amy Porterfield. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.